All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to peel back the layers on something we use every single day, but we probably never really think about it, and that is meaning itself. We're going to decode the invisible rules that govern our language, and I'll show you that what we say, well, it's often just the tip of the iceberg.
So let's start with a situation that I'm sure you've been in. You're trying to be polite, or maybe you're trying to hint at something without, saying it directly. We all do this, right? But the real question is, how does our brain actually process the difference between the words we hear and the message we're supposed to get?
Okay, so in this little exchange, person B isn't just, stating a fact about their eating habits. The literal words are, I'm on a diet. But we instantly get what they really mean, which is, no thank you. So how do we do that? How does our brain bridge that gap so fast?
And this is where we get to dive into the super fascinating field of linguistics. It gives us the tools to decode all these hidden messages. And believe me, it's not magic, it's actually a science. A science that breaks down how our language really works, from the words themselves all the way to the context we use them in.
Okay, let's dig into this. To really get to the bottom of that whole cake example, we first have to draw a line between what's literally said and what's actually intended. So on one hand, you've got what's called semantic meaning. Just think of this as the straight-up dictionary definition, right? It's totally context-free and literal. The semantic meaning of I'm on a diet is just I'm trying to lose weight by controlling my food intake. Simple. But then there's pragmatic meaning, and this one is all about context. It's what the speaker really intends to communicate. So in our little kick scenario, the pragmatic meaning is just a polite no thanks. But wait, it gets even deeper than that. Meaning isn't just this one single thing. Linguists actually break it down into different layers, kind of like peeling an onion. Each layer builds on the last, taking us from a single word all the way up to a full-blown conversation. Okay, let's see exactly how this works. We start at the very bottom with word meaning. The word remarried just means married again. Pretty simple. Then we build on that to get sentence meaning. She is not remarried is a direct statement using that core definition. But this is where it gets really interesting, at the utterance meaning level. This is meaning in a real conversation. If you ask, how is the pastor, and someone replies, he is remarried, it doesn't just mean he got married again. It implies a whole bunch of stuff, like that pastors are allowed to marry in the first place, and that this specific pastor, he must have been married before. See how the meaning just expanded with a little bit of context? So here's the crucial point. If we can build meaning up, like that, layer by layer, it means we can also break it down. We can actually deconstruct words into their most basic components. It's almost like a word's DNA to see what they're really truly made of. And these tiny little building blocks, they're called semantic features. Think of this as the secret code that gives a word its specific, unique meaning. Every single feature is like a tiny little packet of information. And when you combine them, poof, you get the concepts that we all understand.
Let me show you. Take the word father. It isn't just one single concept in our brains. Nope. It's actually a bundle of these features. It has the feature plus human, plus male, plus mature, and so on. Now, check this out. If you change just one of these features, let's say you flip plus male to minus male, you get the word mother. It's that simple. These features are literally the fundamental ingredients of meaning.
And this is what's so cool about it. It shows us how our brains organize the world. You can have words that seem totally different on the surface, but they're connected underneath by a shared semantic feature. For example, doctor, teacher, and engineer are all really different jobs, right? But they all share the feature, plus professional. And that's how we create categories in our minds and understand how different concepts are related. Okay, now we get to the really good part, the real payoff. All these semantic features create these invisible rules that our brains follow completely automatically. And the best way to see these rules in action? It's to see what happens when they get broken. All right, look at this sentence. My brother is an only child. Grammatically, it's perfect. Subject, verb, object, it's all there. But you know instantly that something is just deeply wrong with it. Your brain just flags it as total nonsense. But why? Well, here's why. It's because the semantic features are literally at war with each other. The word brother, by definition, has the feature plus having at least one sibling. But the term only child has the exact opposite feature, plus having no other sibling. You just can't have both at the same time, the features clash, and the meaning completely collapses, even though the grammar is perfectly fine. You know, the most famous example of this comes from the absolute legend of linguistics, Noam Chomsky. He came up with this sentence specifically to prove a point, that grammar and meaning are two totally separate systems in our brain. The sentence is grammatically perfect, but from a meaning standpoint, oh, it's a complete and total disaster.
Okay, let's break down this beautiful mess. First up, colorless green. Well, colorless has the feature no color, but green has plus color. That's a direct contradiction right there. Next, ideas sleep. Ideas are plus abstract, but the verb sleep needs a subject that's plus animate, alive. That's impossible. And then sleep furiously. How can you do that? The features are just completely incompatible, creating this perfect piece of grammatical nonsense.
So, okay, we've talked about these technical features, these building blocks. But meaning isn't just about that. There's one more really crucial layer we have to talk about, and that's all the emotional and cultural baggage that words carry around with them.
And this brings us to a really important distinction: denotation versus connotation. A word's denotation is its core, literal, dictionary meaning. It's basically what we've been talking about with semantic features. But its connotation, well, that's all the feelings, the attitudes, and the cultural baggage that comes along for the ride.
Let me give you a classic example. The words bachelor and spinster have the exact same denotation. They both mean an unmarried person. That's it. But their connotations, they are worlds apart. Bachelor usually makes you think of independence, freedom, maybe a fun lifestyle. But spinster, that word carries all these negative connotations of loneliness, of being left behind. Same dictionary meaning, totally different emotional picture.
And finally, holding all of this up is one last, really simple idea: reference. This is just the direct link between a word and the actual thing it points to out there in the real world. So the word sun simply refers to that giant star on our sky. That's it. It's the foundation that all these other more complex layers of meaning are built on.
So where does all this leave us? Well, it leaves us with a pretty powerful thought. Understanding semantics shows us that language is so much more than just a string of words. It's this incredibly complex system of invisible rules, hidden feelings, and unspoken intentions. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The next time you open your mouth to speak, what are your words really saying?